Hey, this is JP with Central Idaho Mountain Weather. Going to give you an overview on the Ohio Gulch fire that started yesterday. Just want to throw out there that I am not a trained wildland firefighter. Did a little firefighting in my early days, but I just find this stuff fascinating. So these are my views and my views alone. And if you're still enjoying this broadcast or new, welcome. You can chip in on my coffee account to help fund these little video events. So, the Ohio Gulch fire, you might have seen this photo circulating. These are some people in the left hand corner. This is a firing range that is on state lands. And on the right hand side of Ohio Gulch, as you drive out there, people can shoot into the backstop here that's been dug out, and you can see the fire in its early stages, just a few, maybe 20 feet above the backstop there. So, very likely this was human caused by firearms. Not really sure exactly beyond that, but that's how it started. And it started to move up this hillside here. Aviation was called in real early and hit it real hard with fire retardant as it was really close to the Heatherlands and the Valley Club, and then eventually pushed into Indian Creek. This is from Blaine County South District firefighters. It appears to me like they might have done some backburning near Wynn's compost. Backburning is when you burn vegetation or trees ahead of the fire, so you're removing the fuels by the time the fire gets there, to protect the fire from just basically burning out into itself. Here's another photo from the firefighters on the front lines holding it down. It actually looks like, I didn't notice this before, but they did have a dozer from the BLM, and it looks like a dozer line was put in around the houses. This barn was saved. You can see that in the video from Blaine County Fire and Rescue. Just a shout out, Blaine County Fire and Rescue were out there. Sun Valley, Gooding, Twin Falls even made a trek up here. Bellevue, Cary, and BLM were all on this fire. So no structures were lost as far as I know. I was up on Carbonate keeping an eye on what was going on. This was the fire progressing towards, God, I keep forgetting this street. I think it was Riding Bowl. Correct me if I'm wrong. Got really close to that. You can see the fire retardant line here. Yeah, I got really close to that before the fire kind of smoldered out from what I could see. And then on the west side, this is like Blue Grouse Point, named on some maps. The fire was trying to work its way down into the Valley Club. Helicopters were putting that out with buckets because it's really hard terrain to get into. Luckily, fires don't really like to go downhill. It's called like backing, so that's slowed the progression of that. The one good thing about this fire is there was not that much winds. With the fire down in Bellevue out Muldoon Canyon, the winds were pretty or heavy enough that that fire moved really quick through the grass and sagebrush. This one was like creeping, so that was kind of a blessing for no structures getting impacted. Here, this was later in the day in Upper Indian Creek. Towards the ends, you can see the pond right here. This was burning pretty hot and heavy for a second. I got my heart pumping. This might have been another backburn too. I'm not quite sure about that. That seemed like it moved pretty quick. It looked like it might have been torched again to protect structures to burn out those fuels ahead of the fire. And then you can see the fire progressing up the canyon, and even this morning the hot spots look like this thing got up and over this ridge. There's a big stand of trees on the backside of here. So I do want to, I'm going to point that out here in a second. And this was kind of one of the last shots I took before I headed down from Carbonate. Lots of flames coming up near houses, all these stands of trees. I'll just bring this up now. one thing actually before I forget. So this is the start of the fire right out here on this hillside here. You know, there's some people that were commenting that it was happening at the gun club, the Hertig Gun Club, probably butchering that, which I didn't realize is mostly on state land. So it looks like they just own that building. Someone said that they manage that. I'm not really quite sure if they do, if or not, but it does seem like it's kind of out of the gates of what I call the gun club over there. And this seems like just kind of a free for all shoot into the hill, if you will. Okay, so getting back into what happened here. Let me reorient myself. Okay, so Ohio Gulch is out here. I'm just going to turn this around. So gun club is right here. That's that hillside you shoot into. Fire quickly progressed up this hillside, spread over to the west, putting the Heatherlands in harm, as well as the Valley Club. That's when aviation was called in and started putting red stripes down everywhere across here. Fire then worked its way down this hillside over here. One of the drops was actually right across this green here, probably to protect these. I think they have some kind of well system up here. And then it was progressing over towards Indian Creek. You can see some houses on the hillside here. It took a really long time for the fire to progress here, and I think this is where they put in some dozer lines around some of those houses. I'm not quite sure where that barn was. I think yeah, I'm not even going to try to act like I know where it is. But yeah, the fire progressed that way. Zoom back out for a second here. I think they did some back burning maybe near here where Wynn's compost is. Might have done some here to protect the dump as well. Don't need that catching on fire. And then the fire just kept moving this way. And I'm going to move. This is now looking to the northeast. The fire moved up this hillside, which actually burned a couple years ago. So it was mostly, grass. And then the fire was kind of progressing this way. So currently this morning, hotspots were last reported here via satellite and in here. So looking ahead, this worries me getting into this stand of trees. I can only imagine that that's some pretty good dried tinder and a lot more fuel. It was pretty impressive how high this fire was going in just sagebrush. Like the flames were pretty high from what I could see from far away. So getting into the stand of timber, it's then eventually could run up this hillside pretty fast, depending on what's going on with the winds. And Triumph is on the backside here in the East Fork of the Big Wood. So that's kind of like the next thing we're going to keep our eye out on. It'd be interesting to see what has burned out here. I don't think I'm going to have a chance to take a look at it. But my gut's telling me that most of the houses survived, if not all of them. It looked like they had fire crews really standing guard around the houses. BLM looked like it had the dozer running line across the houses. There was fire retardant all over this place. And the weather was cooperating pretty well besides being hot and dry. But we didn't have big winds. And we had a kind of a wetting rain last night. It did come through mostly through Haley and not hit this area as hard, but that probably helps. All right, so that's the full story as far as I know it. Chime in if you know anything different.